We might need you to come on our next shoot.
That's just so you can sync up the sound on everything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, I switched knees.
That's probably useful.
Yeah.
After a while.
Yeah. So,
Should I talk a little bit about what my disability is and stuff?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what we're doing, we're giving you what you want to, like what you did when you talked to me.
Ramble.
Yeah.
Ramble. Edit it later.
Yeah.
So my disability is what's called arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. Kind of go through that backwards. Congenita means from birth. Multiplex means multiple extremities. It's affecting the arms and the legs. Arthrogryposis, not really sure, contractures is basically what it is. So contractures of the arms and legs from birth. When I was born, basically I wasn't done cooking. I was about a month early. Basically everybody who has arthrogryposis is early. Not that everybody who's early has arthrogryposis, but the soft tissue, the joints, a lot of the musculature and the ligaments in my arms and legs didn't fully form. When I was born breech, face up, and my legs were folded like Yogi Swami style. So I was tough coming out. And my arms are locked straight. My elbow joints are not fully formed, so I have no flex in my arms, so my arms are just straight. And my arms got caught on my mom coming out, so they had to reach in and break my arms in order to get me out because they were worried about me suffocating. So we have these pictures of me as a little tiny infant because I was small, with these tongue depressors taped to my arms as casps, as splints, because that's how small I was. You could use a tongue depressor for that, and so I came out wrong, right? I mean, it was obvious from the moment I was born. Apparently, I was a really super happy baby, and it's interesting because as I learn more about my disability, I find out that we as a group are notorious for being very bright, happy children. Just really happy people. Average IQ of people with my disability is 130, which I totally screw up and bring down. But it's interesting because I sit back and I look at that. Physically, I wasn't able to do a lot of things, and so as a child, I read a lot. Is the IQ higher because we read so much as children? Or do we read so much as children because the IQ is higher? I don't know, it could go either way, but my legs were bent, literally where one heel was in in basically my crotch, both legs, so I was literally Swami style, with straight arms, and thank goodness for Shriners Hospitals in Los Angeles. I always give shout outs to them. They did full surgical procedures on me for many years. They started doing surgeries on me when I was about 9 months old, because I had severe club feet as well, so they released my ankles. And then several surgeries between ages 7 and 9 where they released my knees and straightened my legs out. For many years through my childhood, they tried to straighten my legs out with casting. So they would put a cast on, and as it was drying, they would stretch it out as long as I could, as straight as I could go. So imagine taking your thumb and hyperextending it until it was painful, then putting a cast on it and letting it dry. And it was like that for a week. And then the next week, they did the same thing. They took it off, they stretched your thumb just a little bit further and put the cast back on. Well, they found it wasn't working for me. It really didn't straighten me out that much. So they went in and did surgeries on me when I was, first one was 7, second one was 9. At the time, I was in medical journals because they had 2 different types of surgery that they could do to release knees in this type of situation. And they tried one on my left leg and one on my right leg. And then they wrote me up in the medical journals, hey, the one we did on his left leg, that one works better. And so, I was in medical journals after that, just as a result of the experimentation on me, because that's part of being at Shriners, it's a teaching hospital. It was interesting because when they first went in to do the surgery, they had planned to do one type of surgery. And they went in and behind my knee, they were going to cut the tendons and musculature and just pull the leg straight. And one of the med students who was watching the procedure said, hey, if we do that, will the nerve endings and blood vessels reach to his feet anymore? Won't that lengthen out? And the doctor's like, oh, you're right. And so, literally made on the surgical table decision to change the type of procedure. And right above my knee, they took an inch out of my femur. right above my knee. So instead of lengthening the nerve, lengthening the ligaments and the musculature to match the bone, they shortened the bone to match the ligaments and the nerves. And so therefore my legs were straight after that. I walk with braces. I had to continue as I grew to keep my legs stretched out. If I didn't wear my braces much, literally my ligaments and musculature would shrink again, would contract, and pull my legs into a bent position again. So I had to keep them stretched out. Once I hit 18, 19 years old, and I was done growing, however old that was, then I was done. I didn't get worse. I'm not in pain or anything, but it took a lot of surgical procedures to get me there. There's a fairly high mortality rate with people with variations of my disability, simply because arthrogryposis can manifest itself in different locations. I have the best kind. I'd be making air quotes if I could, but I have the best kind. It only affected my extremities. There are a lot of people who have my disability who will get it and it will manifest itself, say, in their jaw or in their spine. And they don't make it past being toddlers because as they grow, the spine contracts, there's no room for their internal organs to form and grow. In their jaw, they never eat properly. And so in that type of, that manifestation of arthrogryposis, the mortality rate is very high. It's a 1 in 4,000 type of thing. And I look around and, okay, we got 3 million people in San Diego County, 3.5 million people. I should see, should be about 100 of us here. I never run into anyone else. I run into 1 or 2 over the course of my lifetime. It's because there's such a mortality rate early on.
Wow.
In childhood. But, it's all I've ever known. So I didn't have to go through that period of time of learning to adjust with a new disability. It's what I've dealt with from day one. And thankfully, my parents, and especially my mom, really gave me a great attitude. From day one, I remember this as a child, from day one they gave me the attitude, it doesn't matter, it's kind of a paraphrase of Henry Ford, it doesn't matter if you think you can or you think you can't, you'll be right. And what I know from childhood is my situation is exactly the same, whether I'm okay with it or whether I'm depressed and bitter and angry and I have a crappy life. Either way, my situation's the same. So I might as well have an okay life, right? I might as well have a great life. Why not? It's the differences between my ears, and then the physical manifestation is the same either way. So it's not that I don't get down about it sometimes or have bad days. Everyone would. Everyone has bad days anyway. It's just that why not go make things good happen in life? I was in high school and went freshman year in high school, sitting down with a guidance counselor. And he says, well, you can't be a fireman, and you can't be a policeman, and you can't be in the military, and you can't be a professional athlete, and you can't be a this, and you can't be a that. And I stopped him. I said, wait. If we're going to sit here and list the things that I can't do, that list is going to go ceiling to floor, 5 times back and forth. I said, let's deal with the 10 things I can do, not the 300 things I can't do. And he looked at me, and he looked at me, and he looked at me, and he says, that's a good idea. And that's the attitude I've always taken about things. What can I do? Doesn't matter what I can't do. That's a long list. Doesn't matter. Lots of things I can't do. Freshman year in high school, I didn't know anyone in the school. We had just moved to the area. First day, we're introducing ourselves. First period, first day. And the teacher has us come up to the front, say our name, and say what we want to do when we grow up. I go up to the front. Nobody knows me. I say, my name is Brian. My parents want me to be a neurosurgeon, but I want to play center field for the Angels. I grew up in Orange County, so I was a big Angel fan. Dead silence. 5 seconds later, I kind of break a little smile, because I know people are sitting there going, does he know? Really? Does he know? And then I smile, and people start to laugh. The funny thing is, in that class, my best friend through high school, I met him. 5 minutes later, he walks up to me and says, so you like baseball? And we were inseparable for the next, 8 years. So it was really funny because, that's kind of been my attitude. I'm going to joke about it. The first job, it's my situation. It is what it is. Why not have a good life? Right? That's my choice. That's not because of my situation. I can do right. I can do well. I can have a good life. I can sit around and mope. and be on welfare. And I'm not saying welfare is bad. Welfare is a great thing. It helps a lot of people financially. But I could have made a decision to just, get out of college. Oh, I can't get a job. I'm just going to go do that. Nah. That's not where I'm coming from. That's not the way. I want to go do what I can do and be massively productive. Because that's me. That's where I want to come from. I didn't want to say that, but we'll edit that part out. Wait a minute, I had another story that I wanted to tell.
Find it.
I had one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me. I think I was either 12 or 13, and I was kind of at that age and maturity level where it was Halloween, and I didn't want to go trick-or-treating. That's for kids. 12-year-old, come on, I should go trick-or-treating, right? But anyway, at the time, I was too cool for that. I wasn't going to go trick-or-treating. And I had a friend, Ted. Ted and I weren't going to go trick-or-treating together. I went over to Halloween was on a weekend. I went over to his house. I show up. He's dressed up as a pirate. I don't have a costume. He's as a pirate. He's like, come on, let's go. I'm like, oh. So I go as me. Ted goes as a pirate. His brothers are with him. We go out, and we're going doorstep to doorstep, and I'm just kind of hanging out in the background. Ted has 2 bags. So this gal comes out, knocks on the door. I'm hanging out in the back of the group, and she comes out, and she goes, oh, and what do we have here? And I'm like, I start to answer, and she goes, look at those arms. Those are great. I said, no, those are my arms. She goes,